Hello students and welcome to BUS3010 as production systems for spring of 2019. Happy New Year to you all. This is Professor Peter Gregory and I will work with you over the next 8 weeks so that you can manage an actual commercial operation. This video is designed to speed you into productivity in this class by touring the different components of the course you will need to access and use. First, what is operations or production about? I call this class the Getting Things Done class because the topics and frameworks can be so readily applied. Operations is a part of all jobs, and the inverse is not often the case. Therefore, you should all be better at doing the job of your dreams during and after this course. Learning is a lifelong process, which means you are already somewhere on the path of becoming or practicing as business manager. That is why you will find I recognize you as professionals already who can relate to the content of this course through past or present experience. You should also be able to apply this readily as soon as you learn it. How will you be a better professional for taking this course? You'll be a better professional for taking this class because you will acquire knowledge and skill with specific frameworks of operations management that can be used in any role, wherever your career takes you, and better than that, these frameworks should help in managing your personal organization to get more things done faster and at a higher quality level, all for greater reward. So what are the required materials for this course? There's two main ones. The first of the two items to purchase is McGraw-Hill Connect for Jacobs Operations and Supply Chain Management. So Jacobs, the author, Operations and Supply Chain Management, or OSCM, is the name of the book, and it's the 15th edition. You'll only be using the online cloud-based version of this. This is a combination of cloud-based learning management system with the ebook and the assignments I have issued all together under the same roof in the software. Feel free to purchase the actual print book if you find having the physical book helps you to achieve good outcomes. That's something that we're beginning to miss here as we're using these online systems, is that the physical book is a different experience. It's a good reference book also for future in your career. The second item is the McGraw-Hill Practice for Operations, which is a cloud-based production environment simulation from which about half of the points in this course will come, maybe even more. Other materials, technologies you will need is Microsoft Office 365, which we have good news. It's free to you for underneath all the burden of your payments to the school for everything else. And you'll get the 2016 version of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It's available free from the Mounts IT support office, which is located on the ground floor of Aquinas. You can stop in there and they'll get you set up. Or you can also call them. Just take a look at the IT number. I don't have that right here to give you, but it's pretty available if you want to call the IT support number, and they'll get right back to you and work with you on downloading and installing the software. Okay, so that's a really good bargain. So also required, or actually also recommended for this class, is the student version of a product called Snagit from TechSmith, which is a screen capture piece of software. They do have Windows 10 has something built into it, as well as Apple products. Apple computers have this also. You could use a control or a command on your keyboard there to set up a screen capture. But Snagit, I believe, is only going to cost you, I believe, as a student version, about $30. I use it every day, many times, even in my personal communications for doing screen grabs to explain things. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And Snagit allows you to edit images, put call-outs on it, point arrows to things you want people to see. And this is all very valuable for the final project or the final report that we'll talk about. The other thing is installing the video speed controller. We'll be doing a fair amount of, as for instance, this very video itself. If you come over and we take a spin, we take a look for the Chrome. I use Chrome Video Speed Controller. You can just download this. I uninstalled it to demo here. How do you get it set up here? Video Speed Controller. Let's go over here to Google Chrome, and I'm going to add to Chrome. I just minutes ago previously uninstalled it just so you can see how you do this. Add it to Chrome. Edit, please. Yes, thank you. Add extension. Okay, and then you'll see this pop up here in the upper right-hand corner. These are a list of all the plugins that I use. Evernote might be one that you might want to use. This is also a URL shortener that I have. This other add-in actually shows me whenever I'm on a site what the activity is. It ranks activity on websites. I also have Skype running on this, and Here I just added in the video speed controller. Those are all things that you might want to add in, but I really want you to take a look at the video speed controller. And then now that we have that installed, let's go back to YouTube. I'll show you how to use it really quickly here. This, for instance, is a video that we'll probably use, no, we definitely will use later on in the course. And if you look up in my window here, it's showing that it's running at a 1x speed value. You can use your cursor to speed this up, plus, 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 plus. You can see it speed up. You can slow it down. I never slow it down. And after a while, you're going to use the keyboard controls. If you have your fingers hovering over the keyboard as you normally do, D, as you can see, is speeding it up to 2x, 2.2x that I have there. And then right next to D to the left is the S key, and you bring it back down again. Okay, so they give you a couple of commands from the keyboard to use, and I usually run things between at least 1.5x and often 2.5x, depending on how fast the speaker is going. If I'm looking for something in a video I've seen before, I can speed it up to 10x or 15x. Crazy. I don't know if it even has a limit how fast you can speed it up. But if you're searching for something in a video, you can speed it up. I thought I'd add that in there because videos these days are a great way to learn, even, say, through things like Udemy, such things. Okay, so let's get back to introducing the course here. We talked about what the required items are for the course, technologies and whatever. What are the technologies you'll actually use in the course? I'm going to pop back over here to eClass, so we have that on the screen. So what technologies are used for the class? Technologies will have to be running on a Windows 10 computer or an Apple computer. Basically, I think you can get by with a tablet. Certainly, I don't think you're going to use your cell phone for the things that we need to do in here. And have to be running the Microsoft 365 tools, as I mentioned already. You'll need a fast, dependable internet access. For technology skills, you'll usually have to use the browsers, download and install software, as I've mentioned. Maybe we'll do it if we have time in the course, which probably we won't. We'll download another piece of software for scheduling. Sometimes I'd like to go through a really quick view of what it's like to use a piece of scheduling software. So you should come into the class with good Word, Excel, and PowerPoint skills. I'm going to offer about 2.5 hours worth of YouTube instruction on the core of what we need for the class. There's a couple of channels out on YouTube that are just absolutely excellent. They're Microsoft partners, and I literally get an update every day on some kind of feature in Excel that they demonstrate how to use, and I'll show you how to get into the practice of using that. We're going to use Excel to a great extent, maybe more than you've ever used before, and some of you may be coming in here as Excel or Word or PowerPoint super experts, probably can even teach me a thing or two. Okay, that's the thing with all these applications. There's so many different ways of using them. It's really great to watch other people and see what they've picked up on this. Okay, so these are all things. I treat Excel as the Swiss Army knife of business. Everybody can use that. I don't even use a calculator anymore. I just use Excel whenever I need to calculate anything. So let's show a navigation around the course. We'll start out there with, of course, we have the interface here for the Mounts portal. And then you can click through from eClass. I'm not going to click here because I already have eClass opened up. Otherwise, you can just see a big list of all my classes. And here we are. This is the home landing page. It's going to look like this or exactly like this. All right. And the way that I structure my eClass, I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. Pretty far out. See how far? That's as far out as it will let me go right now. And if I scroll down from a 3 mile out standpoint, as I scroll down, you're going to see this bright Barney the dinosaur colored separator, and everything above this line is what I call boilerplate or basic information for the course, reference materials and things like that. A little bit about me. This photograph just above it is a picture of me in China on a trip that I had done there about 4 or 5 years ago. Everything below it is structured. Every section here has to do with a class, what goes on in there, what will go on there, and sometimes what happened in there. Sometimes I'll take some notes or whatever and make them available for an exam. Okay, something like that. And at the present moment, these are all the dividers here. Watch for the very, very, very end here is where you're going to deposit your final report. This will grow over the semester because I start loading it up with many more materials. And because I teach this class in 4 different formats, it's actually 4 different formats, that's why I have to do these e-classes dynamically because each time I teach it, the schedule is a little bit different. And basically, a constant improvement process. I'm always adding information in here or swapping old information out for better new information. Okay, so that is the E-class. I'm going to zoom back out of here using Control minus. Control minus, come on out. It's not coming back out. Or rather, Control Plus, that was the problem there. So we'll get back in there. Let me bring that up again. Okay, so we have that back on our screen. The reason, actually, what you just saw pop up on my screen is another recommended. I don't put it in the course, but to use Evernote. Evernote is a fantastic package. If you read about it, some of you may already be using it, but you can save the entire web pages, not just as a screen grab, but actually as an active live page. And I use that for my research, for putting together things on different pieces of research I'm working on. Okay, just thought since that popped up, I'd mention it. That's extra information here. Okay, so we've seen the actually started with the portal. We've seen eClass, and now we're going to talk about McGraw-Hill Connect. I've supplied you in a URL for when you register for this. You should be able to get a 2-week trial basis if you can't actually purchase it right away. That'll get us pretty deep into the course, actually. Don't forget to pay for it, register, and everything else, or you're going to lose your work. The way that I have McGraw-Hill Connect structured here, what you're going to find in here is mainly your assignments, and you'll be just clicking these off. The schedule is right in here, so that's why I don't really reproduce it any more larger than this in the syllabus or whatever. You can come to Connect, and you can actually look down the start due dates here. Watch out, be able to read these really carefully. You have to read these carefully, make sure you have the due dates. The first part here with these dark little objects here, that's LS for Learn Smart. This is a learning system underneath McGraw-Hill for these Connect packages that they have. It'll watch you as you go along reading the chapters and ask you questions as you go along there. And for every one of those assignments, which is basically one for every of the 13 chapters we're going to cover, then I have assigned homeworks down here for chapters 1 through 11 through 13. We'll get to 13 in here. For some reason, there's 2 not showing down there. Okay, and I'm doing this a little bit differently this semester, this session, by splitting it by topic. So these are your Learn Smarts. For every Learn Smart, you're going to come down here and look up what the actual assignment is. So you'll do the Learn Smart before the chapter assignment. Obviously, you want to read the chapter and get tested on your reading. These are not that challenging. I don't think that they take that long from what I've gathered from students. I mean, I've taken them myself. That might be a little bit biased. I'm the professor, but from the student standpoint, I've never heard that it's been a big burden to do the Learn Smarts. So from here, we're going to go over to McGraw-Hill Practice for Operations, which I quite often just write as MHPO, McGraw-Hill Practice for Operations. Click into McGraw-Hill for Operations here, and you're going to see a set of assignments here. There's 4 modules we absolutely have to get through, and I'll talk about those in class. Module 1, Module 2, Module 3. Be careful of the due dates here. So this is going to coincide with those Learn Smarts and the Connect homeworks. You're going to have to be watching this for getting these things done. And just like the Learn Smart, these have hard shutdown dates and times. It has to do with the way that scoring is done on here. So really, you must get these things done on time. Get through here. There's a Mod 4 review, not graded. Go by that. I'll explain that later in the course. This is for when you're doing your final project paper that you can go in there and gather information that you might need. And I do offer extra credit for Mod 5 and Mod 6, which I recommend that you do. And those are the 3-4 major things that you're going to use for technologies as we flip around here. So let me go back to eClass, continue on. What are the scoring components? Let me flip over to scoring components. This is how the scoring components work. This is in the syllabus. Your Learn Smart homeworks are worth 5. Connect homeworks are worth 10. I'll put some McGraw-Hill quizzes in there, light duty quizzes at 5 points for the entire total grade. Your McGraw-Hill practice is worth quite a bit. It's worth 15 points. The cumulative quiz 1 is worth 5. The midterm is worth 10. Your second cumulative quiz will be worth 5. Your final paper is worth quite a bit. It's worth 20 points. We'll go over that to a great extent, and I have many videos for that. The final exam will be 15% of the grade. And class participation was 10% is broken between in-class participation, online forum participation is going to be a big factor, and then there's a career pursuit component to the course that I ask you to be looking into your future plans for your jobs. Make sure you're industry aware as to what the jobs are that are available for people coming out with operations or other ways. Okay, as I mentioned, operations is used in every role. Is there a math component to this course? Yes, there is. And so I try to work through them from almost the beginning day, from the first minute we meet. I start working on some core concepts. If you've taken statistics before, it's basically your core average, it'll be your standard deviation. It'll be using the z-scores, z-tables. We'll apply it in a couple of different instances and have you start looking around in the world, the larger world, and where you work also, and try to apply it, because that's where the value of all these topics come from, is actually using it. I hate to go through all this and not have you be able to look at the world and understand it through normal distribution, a normally distributed random variable set, because most things out there, it's just another set of glasses that you can have, or another tool in your toolbox. A note about the final report. The final report's based on all the experience in Kibbe & Strand. That's the name of the company. In the production environment simulation, comes out throughout the entire part of the course. It's going to be the major backdrop to what we're working on here. And being able to communicate your progress and your achievements is a big part of getting ahead. So I'm going to work on a nice format for a final report that you can take out of here into other classes and into work and such. The product out of this, your final report, I'm saying it right now, I'll say it almost every time we meet, it should be an interview-ready quality, what I refer to as a pro caliber example of your work that you're eager to show whenever asked. Okay, and this would be in interviews and in performance reviews. Okay, so if where you work is paying for some of your school or all of it, or at least are aware and accommodating the fact that you're in school, that whenever your performance review comes up, annually, quarterly, weekly, by minute, whatever it is, you can use this as a good example as to what you're learning and what you're developing as a professional. Okay, so most people are saying, how do I get an A in this class at this point? At least hopefully that's what you're asking. The main points to get an A in here is make sure you get access to all the required materials right now, really fast. By 3 or 4 days out of the first meeting, we have our first assignments due, so make sure you have at least the temporary access to the systems. Listen to all the directions, read all the directions. Make sure you're answering the questions directly. Do all the work. Can't say that enough. Be on time with your work. Be on time to class. That has a lot to do with, I understand there's work interference sometimes and such, but for the most part, I really want everybody to be there to make a good environment in the classroom, not people drifting in and out on that. Of course, if there's something coming up, you can let me know about it. So be on time, keep up with the work, steadily work away at it. Get in touch with me early if you see a situation developing. And I'm really open to general business discussions that are relating to the class, or even not, about professional development and how you use this, where you would apply it, because I do believe this is one of the most useful courses taught in the business program. Okay, so where do I start? Let's take a look how to start here. I've worked quite a bit over the break to try to lean out the eClass here so you can read it, and things are more step-by-step than ever. If you see week 1 of 8, this is Monday, the 14th of January, 2019. It says, let's get started. And then we go through the checklist. This checklist, as you go through here, you should be able to find the evidence or the artifacts that I'm speaking about right below it. There's a number of quick exercises, introducing yourself, filling out a little questionnaire so I understand business-wise where you come from. Some of you have already jumped in on some of this, I've noticed, so that's great. You're getting ahead. It's great to get ahead. Stay on the front side of the curve on all this course work that we have. The one thing, there's two technical, procedural, housekeeping issues to take care of. Make sure when you send me an email that you start the subject line with BUS3010 space X1 space SP19. That's for spring 19. All your emails should be to me that way. And even though we might strike up, quite a friendly atmosphere in the classroom, face-to-face, and on Big Blue Button and in other ways, always use professional approach to your emails. All of this goes on record, and you should just learn to adopt. I recommend that for this course. A lot of this course has to do with procedures and frameworks and whatnot. So just adopt a very professional way of speaking. You can be that, even though somebody, we might get to know each other quite well and be quite familiar with each other. Always keep it professional in your email. Always start the subject line as I described. The other thing is, I mentioned the Microsoft Office products. It's the only type of files that I take are Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Now, the file naming of it is really important. It's so I can grade these things in a reasonable amount of time. You must listen to the directions on how to name your files. You'll have a 2-digit class ID number that was just assigned up here. This is right in eClass. We have, looks like 15 people at this point. Each of you will have this class ID. Every file you upload to eClass start with 2-digit ID. I'm going to say that again. Every file name start with the 2-digit ID, then a space, then your name of some format or another. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure I can see what your name is, a space, and then whatever the appropriate name for the file name is. If I've posted a file and you're just responding in it, you can just leave the file name as is. But along these lines is you need to rename it that it starts with your class ID. Every file you put in eClass. I am now at the point that I have to start removing points, I'm sorry to say, for people not listening to that direction. Okay, so that's one big thing. It sounds like such a small thing, but it actually leads to speeding up, grading, and getting back to people that way. Okay. With that, I think you're ready to launch. I think you can take a look at this and get going. If you have any questions, certainly email me, use that subject line, and I'll actually see you tomorrow night. I'm producing this the day before we all meet. Have a great day, enjoy your weekend, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all in the classroom.